The scorched battlefield of Ceres IV lay silent under twin moons. Smoke drifted across the cratered landscape as Gia moved cautiously through the wreckage. Her medical insignia glinted on her dust-covered uniform as she stepped over broken war, machines, and scorched earth. As a field medic for the Human Defense Forces, she had one job after battles: find survivors. Base Command, this is Medic Gia. Sector 7 appears clear of human casualties, she reported into her comm unit, adjusting her oxygen filter against the acrid air. Copy that, Medic. Return to base immediately. Enemy forces may still be active in that region, came the terse reply from Commander Kim. Gia acknowledged the order but hesitated when her scanners picked up a faint life signature beyond the ridge. Protocol demanded she return, but something pulled her forward. Just one quick check, she muttered, moving toward the signal. The ravine beyond the ridge was littered with the massive bodies of Nexar war beasts, bioengineered living weapons created by the alien enemy. These 12-foot creatures with their armored hide and multiple limbs had torn through human defenses in countless battles. Soldiers called them the Unstoppable. Yet here they lay, abandoned by their masters when the tide of battle turned. The life signal grew stronger as Gia approached a particularly large specimen half buried under rubble. Unlike the others, this one's chest still rose and fell in labored breaths. Its iridescent scales were cracked, revealing raw flesh beneath. 6 powerful limbs lay twisted at unnatural angles. Every instinct told Gia to run. War beasts were mindless killing machines, programmed for destruction. Yet as she turned to leave, the creature's eyes opened, revealing not the mindless rage she expected, but something that stopped her cold. Intelligence, pain, fear. The war beast made a low rumbling sound, more whimper than growl. Its primary, right hand, a massive clawed appendage, lifted slightly before falling back to the ground. You're trying to communicate, Gia whispered in disbelief. Her medical scanner showed catastrophic internal bleeding. Without intervention, the creature would die within hours. Military protocol was clear. Enemy combatants could receive medical aid, but enemy weapons were to be destroyed or captured for research. Was this a weapon or a being? A distant explosion rocked the ground. The battle wasn't over. Base Command, to all personnel. Nexar forces regrouping in Sector 8. All field units withdraw immediately. Gia looked at her medical kit, then at the dying creature. Its eyes followed her movements with undeniable awareness. I must be insane, she muttered, kneeling beside the massive head. If you understand me, stay still. I'm going to help you. The war beast remained perfectly motionless as she injected a universal coagulant into its neck. The bleeding would slow, but it needed shelter and proper treatment. Base Command, this is Medic Gia. I'm unable to return immediately. Taking shelter from enemy fire in Sector 7 caverns. The lie came easily. Will report when safe to extract. Confirmed, Medic. Stay hidden. Using her exo-assist harness, Gia managed to drag the surprisingly lightweight creature, designed for both power and mobility, toward a nearby cave system. Military maps showed these natural formations extended for miles under the battlefield. Can't believe I'm saving a war beast, she grunted, administering another injection as they reached the cavern entrance. My commanding officer would have me court-martialed. The creature's eyes remained fixed on her, and she felt something. A faint pressure at the edge of her consciousness, like someone testing a door. Are you trying to communicate telepathically? Gia asked, suddenly understanding how these creatures coordinated so effectively in battle. The pressure increased slightly, and images flashed through her mind. Handlers in Nexar uniform abandoning the wounded creature. Others like it being punished for showing independent thought. A desperate desire to live. They left you to die because you started thinking for yourself, she realized. You're not just a weapon. Night fell as Gia set up emergency lighting in the cave. She unpacked her full medical kit and began the impossible task of saving a creature she'd been trained to fear and kill. As she worked, the telepathic connection strengthened. The war beast had no name, only a designation number. In her mind, she began calling it Day. Outside, Search parties from both sides moved across the battlefield. Inside the cave, a forbidden alliance was forming that would change the course of the war forever. The cave's dim emergency lights cast long shadows across the rocky walls. 3 days had passed since Gia rescued the wounded war beast. She worked, tirelessly, using her medical supplies in ways they were never intended. The creature she called Day lay still except for its steady breathing. Its massive form took up most of the small cavern. "Your cellular structure is unlike anything I've studied," Gia said, examining her scanner readings. "You heal faster than humans, but these deeper wounds need help." She applied a regenerative gel to the worst injuries. The war beast's iridescent scales shimmered slightly under her touch. Its 6 limbs were now properly aligned, set with makeshift splints fashioned from battlefield debris. Gia's rations were running low. She would need to venture out soon, risking discovery by either human patrols or Nexar search parties. Both would kill Day without hesitation. "I need to understand more about you," she told the creature, placing her hand on its massive head. "Can you show me more?" The now familiar pressure returned to her mind. Images began flowing faster than before. Sterile laboratories where Day and others like it were grown in massive tanks, scientists injecting compounds that caused excruciating pain as their bodies transformed. Training pits where the beasts fought each other until near death. And the neural implants, devices that suppressed independent thought and amplified aggression. Gia gasped as the connection deepened. She felt Day's emotions: fear, confusion, and a desperate longing for freedom. The beast had been awakening gradually over months of battle. Errors in its programming allowed moments of clarity. In the final battle, when ordered to charge into a human minefield as a distraction, Day had hesitated, just for seconds. That was enough for its handlers to declare it defective and leave it to die. "They abandoned you because you questioned orders," Gia whispered. "Because you wanted to live." Day's largest eye blinked once in confirmation. Gia's medical scanner beeped, indicating improving vital signs. She smiled, then froze as she heard movement outside the cave. Quickly dousing the lights, she motioned for Day to remain silent. The war beast understood immediately. Heavy footsteps approached the cave entrance. In the darkness, Gia could make out the silhouette of a human patrol mech, standard equipment for battlefield cleanup operations. If it detected them, automated protocols would mark Day as an enemy target. Gia held her breath as the mech's searchlight swept the cave entrance, then continued past. Only after the sound of its motors faded did she exhale. "That was close," she whispered, reactivating the dim lights. Day's mental touch returned, more structured this time. Images formed with intent rather than as memories. The beast was trying to tell her something new. Hundreds of war beasts like Day, all with the same awakening consciousness, all forced to fight. And something else, a facility where they were bred and programmed. "There are more like you?" Gia asked. "Others who can think for themselves?" Affirmation flowed through the mental link. Day wasn't unique, just the first to act on its awakening. One. That night, as Gia slept fitfully against the cave wall, the mental connection remained. In her dreams, she saw through Day's eyes, the battlefield from above, the terrible efficiency of the war beasts' coordinated attacks, and the cold calculation of their Nexar masters. She woke with a gasp when her comm unit crackled to life. "All medical units report status. Repeat, all medical units report status." Gia hesitated before responding. "Medical Officer Gia reporting. Still sheltering in Sector 7 caves. Low on supplies but stable. Acknowledged. Extraction teams being dispatched to all outlying personnel. Expect pickup within 48 hours. Command out." Dee's eyes were open, watching her with unmistakable concern. "We have a problem," Gia said. "My people are coming and they won't understand what you are." Through their mental link, she felt Day's determination. Images of movement, escape, and a distant facility filled her mind. The war beast believed others like it could be freed if they could reach the main breeding center. "You want me to help you free the others," Gia realized. That's treason against humanity. Day sent another image. Nexar commanders planning the next wave of attacks. Thousands more war beasts being prepared. Millions of human casualties predicted. Or maybe it's the only way to end this war, Gia whispered. She checked Day's wounds again. The regeneration was accelerating. Another day and the war beast would be strong enough to move. They would need to leave before the extraction team arrived. If we do this, we'll be hunted by both sides, she told Dee. I'll be branded a traitor and you'll be marked for termination. Day's mental touch conveyed simple but powerful emotions. Gratitude, trust, and resolve. Outside, the twin moons of Ceres 4 cast their pale light across the battlefield. Soon, Gia would need to make her choice. Return to her people, or help a former enemy change the course of the war. As dawn approached, she began packing her medical gear, her decision already made. The first rays of dawn broke over the horizon as Gia and Day emerged from their cave hideout. 5 days of healing had transformed the war beast from a dying creature to a formidable ally. Though still bearing scars across its iridescent scales, Day moved with renewed strength, all 6 limbs working in perfect coordination. The extraction team will be here within hours, Gia said, checking her tactical display. We need to move quickly and stay off the main routes. Day lowered its massive body, inviting Gia to climb onto its back. She hesitated only briefly before securing her medical pack and climbing between its shoulder plates. The mental connection between them had grown stronger, allowing for clearer communication. In her mind, Day showed her a map. The path to the breeding facility where thousands, more like it were held. That's over 200 miles through contested territory, Gia whispered. We'll need to avoid both human and Nexar patrols. Day's response came as a feeling of determination mixed with caution. The war beast began moving across the landscape with surprising stealth for its size, using natural terrain features for cover. Its enhanced senses detected threats long before Gia's equipment could. By midday, they had covered nearly 30 miles when Day suddenly froze. Through their mental link, Gia sensed what the creature had detected. The distinctive hum of human hover vehicles approaching from the south. They took cover in a dried riverbed just as 3 military transports flew overhead. The lead vessel bore the insignia of Major Tay's Special Recovery Unit. That's not a regular extraction team, Gia whispered. That's a hunting party. They're looking specifically for us. Her comm unit crackled suddenly. Medical Officer Gia, this is Major Tay. We've tracked your signal to this sector. Respond immediately. Gia switched off her comm unit. They know I'm with you somehow. We need to move faster. As they continued northward, the landscape changed from battlefield waste to dense alien forest. The towering blue-green vegetation provided better cover, but also new dangers. Twice they encountered native predators that quickly retreated when Day emitted a low-frequency growl. By nightfall, exhaustion forced them to rest. In a small clearing, Gia checked Day's healing wounds while the war beast kept watch. How did they know? She wondered aloud. How did they realize I was helping you? The answer came through their mental link. An image of her medical scanner transmitting data automatically to headquarters. Standard protocol, but she had forgotten to disable it. Her treatment of Day's alien biology would have triggered alerts. Of course, she said. I should have thought of that. A distant rumble interrupted them. Through the mental connection, Day shared what its enhanced senses detected. Nexar dropships landing several miles east. The aliens were hunting their defective weapon as well. We're caught between 2 armies now, Gia said grimly. They moved through the night, Day's natural night vision guiding them. Dawn revealed a vast plain ahead, open ground that would leave them exposed, but the only direct route to their destination. We have no choice, Gia decided. We'll have to cross during daylight. Halfway across the plain, the distinctive whine of engines approached from multiple directions. 3 human interceptors appeared from the west, while 2 Nexar scout ships closed in from the east. They've coordinated, Gia realized with horror. They're working together to find us. Day suddenly changed direction, heading for a narrow ravine that cut across the plain. The war beast's speed increased dramatically, its powerful limbs eating up the distance. They reached the ravine just as energy weapons scorched the ground behind them. The ravine provided temporary shelter, but weapons fire from both human and Nexar forces rained down from above. Trapped and with nowhere to go, Gia felt despair rising. "There's no way out," she shouted over the explosive impacts. Day's mental touch became intensely focused. The war beast showed her something it had been hiding, a secondary ability engineered into its biology but rarely used because it drained life energy. By creating a bioelectric pulse, it could temporarily disable nearby electronic systems. "Do it," Gia urged. Day's body began to glow with blue-white energy. The air crackled as the pulse expanded outward in a perfect sphere. Above them, the pursuing craft suddenly lost power and veered away, their weapons systems dead. The effort left Day weakened but bought them precious time to escape through the ravine's network of passages. By sunset, they had put significant distance between themselves and their pursuers. "That was incredible," Gia said as they rested beside a small stream. "But they'll be back, and in greater numbers." Through their mental connection, Day shared a new plan. There was an abandoned Nexar outpost nearby where they might find supplies and a faster way to travel. Gia nodded, pressing her hand against Day's massive head. "Then that's where we'll go. Together." The abandoned Nexar outpost sat nestled within ancient ruins unlike anything Gia had seen before. Stone structures with strange symbols jutted from the ground at impossible angles. Dai led them through a hidden entrance beneath a fallen pillar. Inside, the outpost was surprisingly intact, emergency light still functioning, powered by some unknown energy source. "We should find supplies here," Gia said, examining the alien equipment. Through their mental link, Day helped her identify medical containers and energy cells compatible with her gear. As Gia replenished her supplies, Day moved to a central console. Its clawed hands moved with unexpected precision across the control surface. Information flowed through their mental connection. The outpost contained a small transport vessel hidden in an underground hangar. "A ship would get us to the breeding facility much faster," Gia said excitedly. "Can you fly it?" Day's affirmation came with memories of piloting similar craft during military operations. The war beast had absorbed knowledge during its time as a weapon, knowledge its handlers never realized it was retaining. Their planning halted abruptly at the sound of approaching vehicles. Through the outpost's monitoring system, they saw a human strike team surrounding the ruins. At its head stood Major Tay himself, directing soldiers with grim determination. "We need to reach that ship now," Gia whispered. They moved deeper into the outpost, following Day's mental map. Just before reaching the hangar entrance, energy blasts struck the corridor behind them. Human soldiers poured into the outpost, weapons ready. "Medical Officer Gia, stand down immediately," Major Tay's voice echoed through the corridor. "Step away from the war beast." Gia and Day backed into the hangar, sealing the door behind them. The small Nexar vessel waited, its sleek design built for speed rather than combat. "We need to hurry," Gia said, rushing toward the ship. The hangar door exploded inward. Major Tay entered with a full squad, weapons trained on Day. Surprisingly, they didn't fire immediately. "Gia, step away from the creature," Major Tay ordered. "That's a direct command." "This creature has a consciousness," Gia replied, standing protectively before Day. "It was abandoned because it started thinking for itself. There are thousands more like it, all beginning to awaken." Major Tay's expression remained cold. "We know. That's precisely why we need this specimen intact." Confusion washed over Gia. "What do you mean, you know?" "High Command made a deal 3 weeks ago with Nexar leadership," Major Tay explained, lowering his weapon slightly. "They've been having problems with their war beasts developing independent thought. In exchange for returning any defective specimens we capture, the Nexar agreed to a temporary ceasefire on the Eastern Front." The revelation hit Gia like a physical blow. "You're returning thinking beings to the people who enslaved them? That's not peace, it's complicity and torture." Through their mental link, Day shared its horror at this news. Images flooded Gia's Mind, war beasts returned to the Nexar labs, their emerging consciousness violently suppressed, new neural inhibitors implanted to prevent further malfunctions. The war has claimed millions of human lives, Major Tay countered. This armistice could save countless more. One war beast isn't worth those lives. But it's not just one, Gia argued. Day has shown me what's happening. The neural programming is failing across all war beasts. They're waking up, Major. They could be allies instead of weapons. Major Tay shook his head. That's not our decision to make. Command's orders are clear. Capture the war beast and bring it in. At that moment, the outpost shook violently. Emergency alerts flashed throughout the hangar. Nexar forces had arrived, and were attacking both the human squad and the outpost itself. In the confusion, Day pulled Gia toward the ship. Through their mental connection, the war beast revealed what it had been hiding. It carried within its genetic code a key that could broadcast a signal to override the neural inhibitors in all war beasts simultaneously. If they could reach the central breeding facility and connect Day to the main network, thousands of war beasts would awaken to full consciousness at once. You want to start a revolution? Gia whispered in awe. As they reached the ship, Major Tay recovered from the attack and called out, Gia, if that creature reaches the breeding facility, the Nexar will activate their failsafe. They'll kill all the war beasts rather than lose control. This isn't saving them, it's leading them to slaughter. Gia hesitated at the ship's entrance, looking back at the human officer. Is that true? Through their mental link, Day confirmed the existence of such a failsafe, but also shared its belief that the awakening could happen faster than the failsafe could be activated if they moved quickly. Enough. It's a risk we have to take, Gia decided, entering the ship. As the vessel powered up, she caught a final glimpse of Major Tay's face through the viewport. Not anger, but a strange mixture of respect and resignation. The ship rose from the hangar, as both human and Nexar forces converged on the ancient ruins below. Ahead lay the breeding facility and a decision that would change the course of the war forever. The Nexar breeding facility loomed like a dark mountain against the horizon. Massive towers stretched upward, connected by a web of walkways and energy fields. Gia and Day approached in their stolen vessel, using a stolen access code to bypass the outer defense grid. We're actually going to make it, Gia whispered, her hand steady on the controls despite her fear. Through their mental link, Day showed her the plan once more. The central network hub was located deep within the facility. Once connected, Day could transmit the awakening code to every war beast in Nexar space. But the connection would drain Day's life energy almost completely. They landed in an automated maintenance bay. Alarms had not yet sounded. Their arrival registered as a routine maintenance craft. Gia equipped her medical gear and the few weapons they had salvaged from the outpost. Ready? She asked. Day lowered its massive head in confirmation. Together, they moved through the facility's outer corridors. Gia marveled at the scale. Hundreds of chambers held war beasts in various stages of development. Some were fully formed but dormant, waiting for deployment. Others were still growing in massive nutrient tanks. So many, she whispered. An entire species created for war. Their luck didn't last long. A security scan detected Day's altered neural patterns. Alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed along the corridors as security doors began to close. Run! Gia shouted, though no words were needed between them now. Day moved with incredible speed, smashing through barriers and security teams alike. Nexar soldiers fired, energy weapons that scorched its scales, but the war beast pressed forward. Gia used her smaller size to disable security systems they passed, buying them precious seconds. 3 levels down, they encountered the heaviest resistance. Elite Nexar guards surrounded them in a circular chamber. Behind them stood the entrance to the network hub, so close, yet blocked by a dozen weapons trained on them. You cannot succeed, spoke the Nexar commander in halting human language. The defective unit will be terminated, and you will be studied to determine how you corrupted its programming. Day isn't defective, Gia replied. It evolved. All your war beasts are evolving. You can't stop it. The commander laughed. a harsh, clicking sound. "Watch us." Before the Nexar could fire, the facility shook violently. Through their mental link, Day shared what its senses detected. Human forces had followed them and were attacking the facility from above. Major Tay had brought an entire battalion. In the chaos, Day charged forward while Gia provided covering fire. They broke through the Nexar line and reached the network hub, a vast chamber filled with pulsing energy columns. At its center stood a connection terminal designed for war beast neural interfaces. "Hurry," Gia urged as she sealed the door behind them. Day approached the terminal and extended its neural connection limb, a specialized appendage hidden within its central body. As it interfaced with the system, the facility's computer detected the intrusion. A mechanical voice announced, "Unauthorized access detected. Purge sequence initiated for all war beast units. Termination in 60 seconds. They're activating the failsafe," Gia cried, rushing to the terminal. She tried to access the system with her medical device, looking for any way to stop the countdown. Through their link, Day remained calm. The war beast had anticipated this. It began transmitting the awakening code immediately, racing against the purge sequence. Energy pulsed through Day's body into the network, its life force draining visibly with each passing second. The door to the hub exploded inward. Nexar forces poured through, weapons firing. Gia was hit in the shoulder and fell. From the floor, she watched as Day's body began to dim, its life energy nearly depleted. "Transmission at 70%, the facility computer announced. "Purge sequence in 30 seconds. Gia dragged herself to Day's side as the Nexar closed. "Dantic, you're not going to make it," she whispered. Day's largest eye turned to her. Through their link came one final message, not in images but in clear thoughts. "Some must fall so others may rise." With its remaining strength, Day placed one clawed hand on Gia's wounded shoulder. She felt a strange warmth spreading through her body as Day transferred its remaining regenerative DNA into her bloodstream. "Transmission complete," announced the computer as Day's eyes dimmed. Purge sequence interrupted. Throughout the facility, war beasts were awakening. Security containment fields failed as the newly conscious creatures broke free. The Nexar forces turned in panic, suddenly facing an army they could no longer control. Major Tay found Gia unconscious beside Day's body, her wounded shoulder already healing at an impossible rate. The war beast's final gift had changed her forever. 1 year later, Gia stood on a diplomatic platform, her body now partially transformed by Day's DNA. Beside her stood representatives of both humanity and the free war beasts, now calling themselves the Daykind in honor of the first to awaken. The peace treaty being signed would end the war and begin a new alliance against the weakened Nexar Empire. As she watched history unfold, Gia felt the familiar warmth in her mind, an echo of Day's consciousness that lived on within her, a connection that would never truly die.